The world of sweets is filled with magic, and some of the most fascinating creations come from simple ingredients like sugar, fruit, gelatin, and a touch of creativity. Today, we're taking you on a journey deep inside the factories where candied fruits, jelly beans, and marshmallows are born. These three treats may look and taste completely different, but behind them lies incredible history, scientific techniques, and stories that will surprise you. So, get ready to discover how some of your favorite sweet indulgences are made. Let's begin with candied fruits, one of the oldest confections in the world. The idea of preserving fruits in sugar dates back hundreds of years, and for a long time, candied fruit was considered a luxury delicacy. In factories today, the process still follows the same basic principle. It all starts with carefully selected fruits like oranges, lemons, pineapples, cherries, and sometimes even exotic seasonal varieties. The fruits are first cleaned thoroughly and then boiled or blanched in water to soften their texture and reduce any bitterness, especially when working with citrus peels. Once the fruit is prepared, the most important step begins, immersing them in sugar syrup. At first, the syrup is light, but over the course of several days, sometimes even weeks, the concentration of sugar is gradually increased. As the fruit soaks, its natural water content is slowly replaced by sugar. This transformation doesn't just sweeten the fruit, it preserves it, making it resistant to spoilage. Once the fruit is fully saturated, it is removed, dried, and often glazed to give it a shiny, jewel-like appearance. What's fascinating is that a properly candied fruit can last for months, sometimes even a year, without going bad. In the Middle Ages, when refrigeration didn't exist, this was revolutionary. Today, candied fruits are used in cakes, desserts, or simply eaten on their own, and every piece still carries the heritage of an age-old preservation technique. Now, from the traditional and historic, let's step into the colorful, playful world of jelly beans. These tiny bite-sized candies may look simple, but their production is surprisingly complex. The jelly bean story began in America in the 19th century, when confectioners advertised them as the perfect treat to send to soldiers during wartime. They were light, easy to transport, and didn't melt or spoil easily. Over the decades, they became a favorite candy, especially linked with Easter celebrations, and soon, jelly beans were being made in dozens of flavors and colors. In the factory, the process begins with creating the chewy center. Sugar, starch, and sometimes gelling agents like gelatin are mixed and cooked until they form a thick, syrupy mixture. This mixture is poured into bean-shaped molds and left to set. These little chewy centers are then transferred into large rotating pans, where the next magical process happens. The coating, layers of sugar syrup, are poured over the beans again and again. Each layer is allowed to dry before the next is added, and after dozens of rounds, a hard glossy shell forms around the soft center. Finally, food coloring, flavorings, and a special polishing glaze are added to give them that irresistible shine. What is fascinating is that the psychology of color plays a big role in jelly beans. Studies show people often expect red or pink beans to taste sweeter, even if the flavor is the same as another color. And thanks to companies experimenting with wild and unusual flavors, jelly beans have become not just candy, but a playful adventure for the taste buds. And now we arrive at marshmallows, the soft, fluffy, cloud-like treats that melt in hot chocolate, roast perfectly over a campfire, and make kids and adults alike smile. The marshmallow has one of the most surprising histories of all. Thousands of years ago, ancient Egyptians used the sap of the marshmallow plant, mixed with honey, as a sweet medicinal treat. This plant grew in marshy areas and gave the candy its name. But it was in tea, until the 1800s in France that confectioners began turning it into the fluffy treat we know today. At first, egg whites were used for the airy texture, but eventually, gelatin became the key ingredient that made mass production possible. Inside modern factories, marshmallows are made with a fascinating combination of science and engineering. The process starts with boiling sugar, corn syrup, and water to the right temperature, creating a stable syrup. Gelatin is dissolved and added, and then the entire mixture is whipped at very high speeds. It's during this stage that air is incorporated into the syrup, creating a foam. This foam is what gives marshmallows their light and spongy texture. Once whipped, the mixture is either poured into molds or pushed through extrusion machines that create long ropes, which are then cut into bite-sized pieces. To prevent them from sticking, the pieces are dusted with powdered sugar or starch, and just like that, thousands of marshmallows can roll off the production line every hour. It's amazing to think that what once required days of careful, handmade work is now done in minutes with modern machinery. Another interesting fact is that marshmallows were once considered a luxury for the wealthy, but today, they are one of the most affordable and widely enjoyed candies around the world. When you look at these three confections together, they may seem completely different, but they are all connected by one thing: the creative use of sugar and the human desire for sweetness. Candied fruits show us how ancient preservation techniques turned nature's produce into something long-lasting and delightful. Jelly beans remind us how candy can be fun, colorful, and full of imagination, each being a tiny burst of joy. And marshmallows prove how science and tradition can come together to create something as light as air and as comforting as childhood memories. Factories don't just make candy, they make traditions, celebrations, and moments of happiness that we carry with us throughout life. That is the true magic hidden behind every bite of these sweet treats.